What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon jumping back in for our latest update in the world of Rugby 25. Now, this is kind of like a part 2 to the update that we had on Wednesday, well, slash Thursday when I got around to making the video. It came up pretty late last Wednesday, and of course, they didn't manage to get everything in they were hoping to. All the cutoff deadlines and stuff didn't quite meet up, and so they did say that stuff was going to be coming out a week later. Thought this would come out yesterday, ended up sort of getting pushed back again, so it literally came out midnight this time, so I'm finally getting around to playing it myself. People have already been on the FAQ page, and things have sounded a lot more positive. So, today's video, positivity. We're going in with a positive, open mind. We'll see what the changes are. We'll go through and test all the things. It might be a slightly longer one, so as always, timestamps and stuff will be down in the description, in the timeline of the video, to jump to any particular section you want. With the mindset of positivity, a bit of an announcement before we get into this one. I saw a post yesterday by an organisation called Esports Wales. Now, this is a organisation that is obviously surrounded around esports. They're involved with Rocket League. I think they've got an FC 26. I'm not great on my football stuff. They've got a couple of other games. They've even recently reached into chess, and they try and find ways to include esports and finding other games in Wales and getting schools and colleges and having an actual esports teams. They have put out a post yesterday saying they have teamed up with the WRU to actually set about making Rugby 25 its own esport, and maybe that transitions into another rugby game in the future when another rugby game comes out. I'm not sure how broad it'll eventually go, but Rugby 25 was sort of nominated as the game going forward, so this will be something that they are actively pushing to try and create an esports team. Now, this sounded really interesting to me because this is something I love the idea of. I've always wanted to see a rugby game have an esports sort of area to it. So I reached out to the company yesterday. They got back to me same day. Fantastic by those guys. And I actually had a call with them yesterday in order to find out a little bit more what could possibly get involved with, what could I sort of bring up on a video. So their current project they're trying to run at the minute is to get schools and colleges involved with Rugby 25 and basically create a little esports leagues. I think they're hoping to try and get between, I think they said about 16 to 20 different schools and colleges. Everyone can get involved in their various esports teams. Makes me feel very old that schools now have esports teams, but apparently that is a thing that happens. And you'll be able to go through, do qualifiers, get selected as like the best players. You'll go on and play actual qualifiers and eventually end up in a grand final. And the grand final will actually be in the Principality. It's like a real thing, like an actual thing for rugby sports gaming. So I love all of that. I said I would love to be involved in whatever capacity I can possibly be. I'm obviously outside of my age category to be able to be involved as a player, but I said if there's something I could do from like a coaching standpoint, because it might be a lot of people picking up the game for the first time. I've got tremendous amount of hours in this game, so if it's something I could do with like helping people get to understand the control schemes, what you can look out for in a game, and because they do have coaches and stuff for esports leagues, if I can get involved with that. If they end up doing like actual broadcasting of the esports and they're going to be live streams you guys can check out on Twitch, they might need commentators. I was like, I'm up for a commentator, put my hand up. I can't say there's any level of like full-on professional stuff going on there, but I'm a bit of a known entity over here, and I've done plenty of commentary stuff. I was like, get me in. I want to be involved in whatever way I can. And then looking beyond this tournament, I think they're looking at some quite broad stuff as well. They're looking ahead to like the next Six Nations, whether they can then start to involve likewise organizations over different countries and actually maybe look at a Six Nations esport for rugby games. So stuff like this is fantastic just for the world of sports gaming and rugby gaming. So I'm really hoping this is something that can get involved. So I thought these videos get thousands of views. I was like, what, it might be one or two people that will fit into a category, and if so, great. If you are 16 and above and you're in a school or a college that has an esports team, I don't know how broad that is personally. My school certainly never had one, and I would have loved to go involved with this. Take a look at your esports team in school, have a chat with your own school and see if it's a tournament you can get involved with. Esports Wales is the company to look at. They've got a website. I'll put all the links and stuff down in the description so you guys can have a look at it yourself. Qualifiers and stuff I've seen on the side here. They've got their qualifiers are going to be running the 8th, 15th and 22nd of October. And then the grand final will be on Wednesday the 5th of November, and I believe that's going to be like streamed on Twitch, and we'll be taking part in the Principality. Massive thing, and I think that's great for rugby gaming. So yeah, do get in contact with your own schools if it's something you can get involved with. Maybe your school already has an esports team and you didn't know rugby was going to be coming on the agenda. get involved, get contact with them, because I would have absolutely loved something like this when I was growing up. And yeah, I would love to be involved anywhere I can. I've still got a bit of a line of communication now with the guys over at Esports Worlds, and hopefully I can find a way to get myself involved as well, because I think that's absolutely fantastic. And thank you to the guys at Esports Worlds for getting back to me literally so quickly. It was great having literally a call with them a matter of hours after I contacted them initially. That was absolutely fantastic. Right, let's jump into today's video then. The next update, part 2, 30.5, shall I call this, or shall I call it 31? Who knows? I haven't really looked at the notes myself. I have seen people have put stuff in the feedback loop already, different time, zones around the world, so they will already have had a few hours with the game. So let's check the patch notes up on screen for everyone to take a look at. They have added broadcast close camera. Now, we checked out the broadcast camera last week. I personally, I'm just generally not a fan of the broadcast camera in total. Have recently picked up Rugby 18. I picked that up from CEX, and it was £3. I thought, why not? And that game has the side camera is basically a broadcast camera, and it felt slightly better than what I'd experienced in Rugby 25. I still wasn't a massive fan with it, but it's sort of given me a bit more time to get used to it. This is now broadcast close camera, which is its own separate thing, and from seeing what people have already said in the FAQ page, there's certain settings you want to be putting on to get the best out of it. So we'll do them today and have a look at what it's like, see what we get a feel. Maybe it's going to feel better for me personally than the actual broadcast camera. They've added allow injury cutscenes in matches option. Now, not something you see very often in Rugby 25. It is in other games to have, actual injured players on the floor holding a leg, holding a shoulder, and then you substitute them off. I don't know why you would want that turned off. I think it's way more immersive to have it play out with the cutscenes and stuff, but apparently they've now got the option to them on or off. I'll make sure to turn that on, because we'll hope for an injury. That sounds bad. In today's video, we'll give that a look. Added the Virgin Media Stadium to Play Now list. We got a new stadium. We'll chuck it on. Corrected select modes custom uniforms not displaying. Now, I don't know what that means. I can't say I've come up with select modes custom uniforms. I don't know what that means. As in, you've created your own kits for teams, and then they don't work. Potentially, I'm not something I've delved into, so I can't talk a lot about that. If you are heavily involved with creating your own custom kits and stuff, I do have custom teams, I guess, because we did some of the Lion stuff. We could chuck them on and sort of give it a look. We'll give that a go. They've corrected the broadcast camera error. Doesn't say what that error is. I would hope, my guess is that, if you remember in last week's video, the camera kept, going off somewhere, and then we'd have, if this video frame is now the game, the ball would be down here in a ruck, and my camera would be over here somewhere, and we'd be like, what are we looking at? The game is happening in this corner. So I assume that's what that means, but we'll, if we're going to test the close camera today, we'll get a bit of a feel for that one as well. Improve the high tackle logic, resulting in harsher penalties. Now, this is one that we saw on the FAQ page. JNT confirmed this was coming in. This is going to be the inclusion of higher degree penalties, yellow cards, red cards for all you who've been trying to get involved with the achievements in this game where you need the yellow cards. This will be a big turning point for you guys, as well as this next point that comes up. Improved yellow-red card infringement logic consistency, in brackets. Makes sense. Very tricky to sort of get the cards right in the modern game of rugby, because every high shot is like a yellow card that goes for bunker review. 50% of them end up being a 20-minute red card. 50% of them stay as a yellow card. Don't know how the game logic's going to work in working that one out, but we will, of course, be trying to test it. Actually don't know how to test it. It's kind of luck. In other games like Rugby 20, Rugby 22, it was more because you're tackling with the analog stick. You could angle the direction incorrectly. It gave the higher frequency for penalties. You made a bad tackle. Rugby 25 is pressing B. I don't know how you do that wrong necessarily, so we'll have to sort of hope we get a bad tackle, get a yellow card, red card, and see if we can actually get that in a video. We've unlocked additional academy functionality. This is a lot more to do, it doesn't say a lot there, but I've read it in the FAQ page, around being able to put players into official teams and out of official teams, I think, because it was something a lot of people are asking for. So being able to manage those teams, because they were having a few issues with if you changed your team, it didn't work then for doing multiplayer. So I believe now there's going to be like a custom list locally. I'm fully guessing here, by the way. Like, you can change teams manually your end, but then there'll probably be like a default list for multiplayer, so you can't just have completely fabricated teams and you chuck in Bowden Barrett in the Wales squad which I've done on Rugby 18. I actually enjoy doing. My Wales teams never look better than it is with half the New Zealand squad also in there. And then finally we have the improved stability as well. So that is our patch notes for the day. There are a couple of other things I want to mention before we jump into a game because I've seen other people post it on the FAQ page. So where to begin first? Let's start out then with the settings. We've got the new camera modes that have come into the game. We'll be definitely wanting to check those one out. So these options menus are beginning to get pretty hefty now. So I don't believe we've got anything going on there. I also want to find the injury cutscenes. I do have injury cutscenes enabled, so we'll see if we can get an injury today going on. Everything else is disabled. I don't want as many, sort of things involved as possible. Try and keep the UI amount down off screen. Vibration still on. Camera settings. Right, we've now got broadcast close and the standard broadcast. I'm going to keep my FOV on what it already is, and we'll give that a go. Now, people have said the best way to play this version of the thing, it's gone off of that for some reason, go to broadcast close, is to go to on collect. That, apparently, people are still having issues with, as you're playing the game, the camera is kind of drifting away one way or the other. And I've read in the FAQ page, people have said that if you change it to on collect, it sort of helps promote whichever team has the ball without it veering off into the middle of nowhere. So I'm going to go with what I've seen on the FAQ page and a few people confirming it. Let's go with that one for now. I also want to flag very quickly because I'm sure J&T will see it in the FAQ page, but people may get caught out by this one. People have been saying that the Springboks team has been completely replaced with fabricated players for some reason. Now that is not great, especially from my standpoint. I'm looking at doing the Rugby Championship videos over the next couple of days, and I don't have any of the players in anymore. So you basically have lost your entire Springboks team. Not sure why that team is affected, and no other team has been flagged so far as being affected, but it does allow us to test out another thing from the patch notes, which is the improved functionality that's going on in the community tab. To which I saw that Big Z 23 came in on the FAQ page and basically said people were struggling to work out how to try and get players into the teams. They have said to basically go over to your academy section and go over to manage, and that's where you have all of these are all my downloaded players. And there's the downloaded players and players that I've created from my time in this game as well. So you can now go to manage players, filter by competition. Let's go to or league, I guess league. So instead, I've now got my filters on to search for the URC because I'm trying to find the South African players. So at the top here, you can see we've got Eben Etzebeth, we've got Oxenshea there, RG Sneeman. So let's go to Eben Etzebeth and say that we can now add them to the South Africa squad and say no room in the South Africa squad. Okay, so I forgot my South Africa team's already filled because I've been doing the Rugby Championship. I've been adding people. So let's pick someone who we know is not going to be, who's like a lower rated, who's probably just... These are my added in players that we've done. Let's remove this bloke from it. That's a prop right. Cannot remove this player from the official club. So, from reading Bigsy's thing, he was basically saying that you're able to basically remove these new fabricated people and then add in existing players from the URC, which I can't do. I could get rid of Lou Diaga because I've made Lou Diaga, but all these other people who are just made up names, who all seem to be like fake names of the actual people. It says at the top, player cannot be removed from the official club. So I can't make room to be able to fit them in. So that is something I don't know how I'm going to work around for the Rugby Championship games because I can't play with them now. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do there, actually. But it does seem like we are now going to be able to actually add in official players, which is really good. So if I go back over to the league and go back over to the URC, because I was going to try and add some players in who I know are missing, and very interestingly, there's a bit of a switch over here where as you go through the roster, you can see they've all got the Ospreys players here. But then if they're in the Wales squad, they swap to having the Wales kit. So I guess that already identifies them as And you can see in the club section the names swap around of who is in the Wales team and who isn't in the team. So someone like Morgan Morris is not going to be in the Wales team by default. I should be able to now go into Morgan Morris and also assign him into Wales. It's allowed me to do that. And it now says Wales and Ospreys. He's changed to a Wales kit. So I've now got the face scanned player of Morgan Morris. And in today's video, we might as well chuck Wales on. And we will see if we can add in Morgan Morris. We'll have a fun game. Let's do Wales Fiji. Always a fun game to play. Let's go over to the manage the team selection and see if we can add in Morgan Morris now that we've added him in. There he is down the bottom, so we can now grab Morgan Morris and throw him in. I can't even remember what my current lineup is for these. Morgan Morris going in there in the number 8 shirt, and there we go. So I can now add in the face scanned players from club level into the international. Still looks like you can't remove the international players that are already locked to the team out of the team to make space for them. So, I mean, the better way to manage that, because I know they didn't want to mess about with losing the official players for multiplayer functionality. The best thing for me there would be just don't have the 55 player limit in the team and let it be like a 100 player limit. And you could add players in as they keep going, and you could keep bolting up. 55 is a really limiting thing. I've noticed it already from adding in custom players. But it's nice that you can do that. A lot of people have asked for that functionality. So really glad to be able to see that that's been able to be added into the game. And we'll head over to the URC and we'll do the Virgin Media Stadium, as that's the new stadium that's been added in. Right, we want to look at injuries. I want injuries high. Injuries major. Everything to be an injury. That's what we wanted to look for. We want to see these cutscenes. The sim bin's on. That's what we want. The ball is a default MLR ball. Interesting. It's a URC stadium. Let's took it on URC. We'll do all that. Everything else good. Let us kick off then and get a bit of a feel for this one. I literally just caught then that difficulty said hard for some reason, not hardest. Let's get a bit of a feel for what hard is then. I always play on hardest. I don't know why that's changed. I hope they haven't got rid of hardest difficulty. I don't know why that shifted off then. Right, and we will jump in. So we're looking at the new camera. That's going to be instantaneous, as it was last week, because it's very, very obvious to see a new camera system. We're looking for those injuries that we're playing on the new stadiums. We won't be able to see this custom uniform thing, because I don't really know what it means. We're looking for high tackles, red cards, yellow cards, and hopefully seeing an improvement from the AI. Still got those flags in the middle of these cameras as they pan back. They've never been able to just get rid of those flags for the opening cutscene. So yeah, last week it wasn't a good week. Wasn't a good week. The update I certainly struggled with. Saw other people put on the FAQ page. They thought the AI was much better. I played 4 or 5 games later that day and wasn't achieving anything. Nothing was happening. The AI wasn't doing anything. At one point, I just let my own team tackle, and I didn't even get involved. And I was repelling the AI by doing nothing. So it might have been that I drew the short straw, but unfortunately, I'm the one who makes a video. So let's get stuck on. Okay, here's the new camera then. Right. Okay, so this is... we're going to also have a look at the FOV. So my only thing is, I don't know where I am. Am I on midfield? Yes, I should be. And we'll break through that line. It's not... Oh no, I was on my own 22. The problem is I'm so close, I can only see the field, and therefore I actually didn't know where else I was. Still hitting that outside shoulder with great ease. At the minute, we'll dive across for the first try. Might have a bit of mess around with the FOV, because that was... It was a little tricky just to work out where I was on the field, given the entire field was just grass. Ooh, that power bar filled up quickly. Ben Thomas is kicking. Obviously, they've been a little bit harsh with on the stats thing. That bar filled up absolutely rapidly. Let me just quickly change the FOV, and I guess we want to go more FOV to get slightly further away in order to try and improve this a little bit. Let's let elements pick up. Still not got the names fixed on screen. That is something I was thoroughly enjoying when I was playing the Rugby 18. I was actually having the names work all time. Okay, so now I'm further away. I can see where I am on the pitch, at least, because I can see where the touch lines is. Again, it's still just hitting that outside shoulder. It is very, very consistent how easy you can do this. I actually sent this over to J&T on a little message and was like, do you know how easy it is to just constantly run at the line? So you basically pass to a second receiver, followed by a sort of tip pass on, and it very, very consistently allows you to hit that gap there every single time, and then you can run the loop on the outside. And the AI doesn't really seem to know what to do against you. It seems very, very consistent. You can just do that. Obviously, we're on hard, not hardest today. We don't want to be scoring tries because we're looking for injuries. We're looking for the high tackles, the big shots, getting those yellow and red cards and what have you. So we are still punishing the AI tremendously with throwing that sort of second receiver distance pass followed by the offload to the outside shoulder of the defender. They really don't seem to be able to cope with it at all. Let's give the ball back to the AI. Or at least let us get tackled, because we're looking for these yellow cards, we're looking for these red cards. It'll be something a lot of people will be happy to see. It's something that has been feeling like it's been missed out from the game a lot, and it will also give us a bit of a feel for what it's like to pass the ball over. The only thing when I play from this sort of height, in order to see the touchline on the far end, is I always feel like I'm very far away from the players feel very small, and without the names on screen working. Ooh, okay, we got a bit of a shift there to see that the ball's been collected and we've shifted over towards the other side. And you know what? I quite like that little shift, and I can see why people have said that they felt like that was better than the other broadcast camera, because that actually allows you to have a bit of a shift towards your... Whoa, that's a big pass. That camera, I've never been a big fan of camera rotation, so I'm not going to be the best point of call to talk about this one. We're still just... My God, is this what it's like on hard difficulty? I never play on hard, I always play on hardest. It does feel like I am running through them with great ease in this one. But that camera switch and the faster transition is not something I'm personally a fan of. I will say, I think this is a large improvement on the other broadcast camera. The other broadcast camera made me feel a bit ill. This feels better. This feels like a smoother transition. It's moving around the field a little bit better. I prefer this camera to the standard broadcast camera, and it could be fun to watch games like this. I'm trying to think now, because the guys over at the Esports Wales also said to me what they would like to do is have player versus player, and from a streaming side of things, that you would basically sit in as a spectator on the stream, and you'd be able to watch the game play out. And I can see this camera being okay for something like that. I think the big thing for me, very hard probably for them to do over at Big Ant, is to allow me to position my camera as to how I would want it. So let's have the kickoff, and I'll sort of show you what I'm trying to look for with the camera myself. Off we go, Caleb. Come on, move on with it. There we go. Finally got it out. So from here, you can see sort of in the background, hopefully still clear. We're at quite a steep angle. Like, we've already saw the picture of the stadium. I think this camera's above the stadium, by the way. I think we're really high up. I would like this to be slightly further down and then tilted upwards. I would say at the minute we're probably looking at this from, you know, if you imagine a 90-degree angle from the pitch, we're probably looking at this from like a 50-degree angle. It's quite steep in. I would like the ability to change this myself and go down to maybe 70%, and you sort of go from having this sort of angle to more like that. So you're looking more kind of straight on, but keep the way the camera works the same. I'm not sure the camera settings as they currently stand allow me to position the camera, and maybe that's going to be too hard for them to be able to introduce. I do think it's a lot better. What if we go, what does really close look like? Let's just test. We're here to test, right? Yeah, it is closer. It looks very, very magnified as very close as that outside shoulder loophole again that I can exploit whenever I want. Let's go for a little kick over the top. Kicking doesn't feel too bad with this camera angle either. Run on for a lovely 50-22, dominating the hard difficulty AI at the minute. Wasn't what I was trying to do, but it's just the angle. I think it's just the steepness of the angle to it. You can see in the background here where the roof of the stadium is. The camera is certainly above this, right? Well, that was a very floaty pass. That was not a friendly one to my teammate. Let's go for something a little bit different there. See if the AI can handle stuff like this on hard. Still can. Well, they called the mark. I didn't know what was going on there. Sort of a pause. There was no call there from the referee. Right, we want to do big tackles. I'm going to swap the camera angle. I might go back to side camera for the second half just to sort of get I know what I'm doing, then I can arrange the tackles a little bit better and stuff. I think I've accidentally selected to go for a maul here, but the game didn't listen to me, so we're doing this anyway. It's okay. The problem is I just feel like you lose... In order to have the players look large enough on the screen for it to feel like, you know, it's closer to what you actually might see on television, I feel like you lose a lot of the pitch in order to work out where I am. If I want to look for a crossfield kick here, I have no idea if my wing is there. I have no idea if their wing is there. I'll drop it back. I'll go for that crossfield kick. Crossfield kicks are still not contestable catches, which is a shame. I would love to be able to do stuff like that and do those crossfield kicks and actually have it go out to my player. But for these types of videos, it actually is maybe a little bit more useful because of my face cam and where it is in between. Sometimes getting in a little bit in the way of the run of play and stuff. Let's get a little offload there. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of that slide over transition. I don't like it on end on camera anyway. I'm beginning to lose a couple of players off screen here. Everything's very far to the left, whereas the middle of the camera, I'm currently looking at their player in the pocket for their defense. I've lost a few options for me, you know, sort of going further up wide as David Jenkins got an absolute mile to run down the wing for the lock there. Not necessarily who I would have wanted the ball to go to. Let's go for a big collision. Or Jack Morgan will do a sidestep. He doesn't want those big collisions. Still not seeing a penalty yet. We're still waiting for those high tackles, those yellow cards. If we can get them, that would be great. How does a drop goal feel from here? Like, my number 10's gone. He's now not on screen. I'm going to go for this drop goal. I don't know where my 10 is. Does eventually get there. The drop goal will still work well enough. The camera speed, much better from that. Didn't feel jarring. Didn't feel like it pulls you out of it. That was a smoother pull back transition. Allowed me to get a drop goal with ease. I hit my direction well. That is better. This is much better than the other broadcast camera. Actually, I would recommend this over the other one. We want them to have the ball. I'm 24-0 up. It's a bit of a stomp at the minute. We're not looking for that. We want to try and get big tackle. Here we go. From range. Bang. Bang. Hit him again. Another one. Bang. Hit him again. Huge tackles. Dangerous tackles. Looking for these yellow cards. And again. Oh, he just ran away from me. It's really weird how swapping your camera angle can make it much harder in defense to, like, work out your running lines of how you want to make the next tackles. Game's still not necessarily always giving me the best defensive option. I've run a little bit wider there. Oh, another offload as well. Again, we are playing on hard difficulty as opposed to hardest. I'm still expecting to see the AI do something. And this was my complaint that I had last week with it, is it felt like the AI was very, very static. Yeah, I mean, you've given me the ball back. I don't want the ball. You have it back. I can see this camera angle, people enjoying this, actually. Compared to the other one, I was like, I don't know who can play like this. This is a much, much better camera angle. We'll steal that one again. Still a little bit too close. You might want to have a mess around with your FOV settings and stuff as well. I'm going to try and absolutely nail this guy at speed. No. Seems to really prioritize my own AI getting the tackle over me. We just give him the ball back. I don't want the ball. The AI is still doing an awful lot of box kicks back to me. I would be very interested to know what other people think of the camera. Do drop it down in the comments. Does it make people feel a bit motion sickness? Is it looking much better? Is this something you could see wanting to see other videos play like this? I can play like this. I still don't think I prefer it as much as the side camera myself. I got nobody. Oh, and I've run away again. This is an interesting point of of a camera shift. You've got to work out all your new angles and stuff. Oh, we got a good turnover there. Turnovers have been rough as well in the games I've been playing. Oh! Now, I flagged this. Oh, are we properly done? Are we done? I flagged this with the guys over at Esports Wales. I saw they did a live stream. They had one of the schools taking part in doing a live stream. And I said there was 3 rucks that looked unplayable back to back. And they said, oh, we don't think that was necessarily like a game issue. That might have just been that the rucks were competitive. No, this is a thing. You know, when you look at like teams wanting to get involved with like an esports world, I didn't even do anything. I didn't even push a button. It wasn't like I pressed the hold on button or anything. The game is just broken. Ref isn't saying use it, so this is this has sort of come back to this, which is a real shame. Right, so we jump back in. I've swapped it now to hardest and just sort of restarted the game off, and we'll take a look. But as you can see now from what I work with, I've swapped back to just the side camera rather than the broadcast camera. But you see the level of steepness that I'm talking about, the difference in how, you know, I personally like to play quite low down to the pitch. I like to feel like you can see a lot of the pitch. I probably play on what I would call like a 70-degree angle. If I could play with that broadcast camera but slightly lower, so it was similar to this level, that is something I would love to have the ability to. I don't know how hard that is because I'm sure the camera work requires sort of actual tracking design and stuff from the guys at Big Ant, and adding a slider in probably makes that a little bit trickier for them. So I'm not sure if that's something we will get, but that close broadcast camera is something I would not be opposed to actually using in videos and trying to utilize. But I thought swapping to hardest, we might be able to see some different play from the AI that isn't box kicks and doing stuff. We might actually be able to see them use the ball. We might be able to see injuries and stuff. Let me just get a little cheeky kick over the top here. There you go. You have the ball. Because I want to really try and get an injury. I want to really try and get a yellow card so we can see it in today's video. There's just not a lot of ways to create it in this game. Whereas when we used to do like the Rugby 22 videos, you know, the games are meant to be fun. They're meant to be entertaining. There are going to be times where I will do things on purpose in some of the real life games where I sort of bring them over, where I want to try and make it more interesting. You know, you can kind of enforce a higher likelihood of getting a yellow card, getting an injury. You could sort of play into it a bit, and it felt slightly better to do that as a design choice. I have no idea how to force it in Rugby 25. It is very luck based. We just got walked over there as they got over for a try. It still feels like it's just a bump off. It's always a bump off. It's always an offload followed by a bump off, followed by nothing you can do about it. Can't get my player back in time. They go over for a try. It still does feel, unfortunately, like, oh, it's the AI is not building a try. They're not playing around me. They're not working out what my defense is doing. It is just still pass, offload, bump, offload, handoff, offload, bump, and you end up with a situation where you end up committing 7 defenders to tackle 2 players because they just constantly get through you. That is something I would really like to see in one of these, you know, sort of future updates. Wow, great catch by Lloyd there. Able to get this. Oh wait, I don't want the ball. Sorry, I forgot. Have the ball back. Oh well, and another great catch by Nick Tompkins. We're flying on the aerial game at the minute. Try and attack that outside shoulder again. We'll still walk around. Right, let's see if we can get over the final player. Still got that issue with the late tackle, which is a shame. I've also noticed that's calling the mark again. Nothing is on screen is saying they've called the mark. The referee's not saying mark. Whistle not being blown. That was a very quick cutscene of that going on. There's still an issue with with players doing grubber kicks and chip kicks really late after they're done. They can still be tackled, which I would really like to see cut down as well, because it feels like you can't really do anything interesting to score a lot of tries other than just running it over, because the game literally allows the AI to get back for anything because of those little chip kicks and so on. Let's just try and go out. I've got nobody out here. Let's just hit that middle gap. I literally worked. I had absolutely nobody with me. Does the scrum half thing work now? Oh, it does actually. Wow. Thomas Williams. What a great pickup. Let's go again. Pick and drive, boys. Jack Morgan. Thought he got there. Thought he was over the line. The TMO has been quite good recently for actually picking up the TMO tries and actually going back and having a look at the ball being judged as over the line and what have you. It's actually been in a pretty good state. The pass to again. Oh, offside, damn it. I was like, yes, we got one. No, offside. Oh, that's very annoying. I actually don't know. I wonder if they've brought in yet the ability to get yellow cards and stuff from, like, a player having too many infringements in one area. And maybe, like, oh, this one player committed 5 penalties, therefore it's going to be a yellow card to them. You know, that would be good. I'm thinking not necessarily like the high tackles and stuff that we had throughout this game's launch, but more like if a player's offside too many times, or if a scrum collapses too many times. I wonder if you get a yellow card now for stuff like that. A little bit tricky to sort of do in one game. Okay, they went for a kick. That was something a bit different at least. Got a little kick over. would have gave me the ball back, but didn't feel like necessarily a targeted kick. But you know, okay, they did something that wasn't just running it forwards per se. We'll just hit that outside shoulder again. Let's try and go for the bump off. That is great work there. Was that Rabbit Mauda managed to get literally across the the entire field from that line out. It's good work. The turnover game is certainly tougher on hardest. The AI seemed to be very good. Someone did flag in the FAQ page, which did actually, you know, sort of made me think a little bit, was, do the AI actually ever get penalised for holding on to the ball at the ruck? And I wonder if that actually is a thing, because sometimes getting a turnover back from the AI is really hard, even when you've got a clear advantage in the breakdown. You still seem to not be able to get the ball back. But they never seem to get penalised for holding on to the ball. Like, they're utilising that mechanic, but the rules don't apply to them as much. Well, Jack Morgan's run all the way across, which is not what I wanted him to do. Cut back up the inside. Oh, Owen Watkin on the break of his life. Grubber kick on and a teleporting ball and tackled into touch. Big shot again. Still not seeing a high tackle penalty. Still not seeing a card. Clock just about to turn, red, but the AI's just kicked it back to me, giving me one more opportunity at the end of this half, as opposed to maybe playing out the half and going for that win. I can hit that hole every time. I honestly feel like it. That's a weird weak link in the AI defense since the update last week. You seem to just be able to run through. I'm trying to run into more tackles in order to create the highest likelihood. Oh, pass not going to hand. That's something I've seen a lot more of as well. Those passes, like, I've clearly got a player available to me, but for some reason the ball doesn't go to them. They've kicked that one away again, as opposed to getting it off the park. Two people not getting into the ruck that are right there. They're not prioritized to get into that ruck. Get around. That looked like a big shot there on my number 5. Crowd feels a little bit quiet as well on this Virgin Media Stadium. There's no real noise. There's no real crowd cheers. I have been hearing more chants. Right, we've got an injury. We've got an injury cutscene. It kind of stopped me from playing. And it's ended the half. There's a couple of things there that I don't like. So we came across. What was was there a difference in that tackle? What was the reason that tackle was an injury? We don't know. No, it was a shoulder injury, but he didn't even get tackled in the shoulder. Did land on that arm, I guess. Does he remain injured in the animation afterwards? No, the game just blew it for it. So I got that pass away. It didn't go forwards. It was flat, so it wasn't like a forward pass. I got the injury. I even then made that break. I did kick the ball away. Did I actually press kick? I don't actually remember if I press kicked the ball away. But I got tackled there, so I should have got taken down there. But that injury caused the cutscene to play. Glad there's a cutscene. That is good. But after that cutscene played out, the ref then ended the game, which isn't like how rugby works. You would have that injury. If it was a serious enough injury, you needed a medical team to come on, a stretcher or something, you would restart the game with a scrum. You wouldn't just end that. And also, if a player was injured, it doesn't need to default go to the cutscene. I think it would be very nice to see a player remain on the ground holding their injured limb, leg, shoulder, whatever, while you get to play on. And then once you get to the next stoppage in play, that's when the cutscene would play out, as opposed to being a forced automatic thing from this. Maybe they could get to the stage where they even have like medical teams run on and sit with the player until like the next cutscene, or maybe until you pass the ball into a certain designated area around them, and then the ref stops the game to not, potentially injure the player even more. I like that that's in. I think that needs a few more things tweaking with it for it to feel like it's going to work properly and sort of be a representation of how it really works in rugby, especially towards the end of these halves. That's weird as well. I've just had a quick look. So the game is auto-subbed for me. It hasn't allowed me to make that decision of who should come on. And it's actually put Rhodri Williams on at fly half, even though I've got Dan Edwards on the bench, who's the designated fly half. Probably because Rhodri Williams has a fly half as his secondary role in this game. So it clearly looks up who can fill that position and puts the first option in, as opposed to giving me as the player the option I would clearly want to put Dan Edwards on at fly half as an actual fly half to make that substitution. And I don't know how that works now. Because I think that's already happened, if I make that change myself, does that... Oh, and Gareth Thomas is taking the dropouts now. Okay, we're finding all sorts out. So so the props are still kicking off for some reason. Does that now screw up? Can I put Rhodri back on? I can still put him on. Okay, I was worried it would lose that ability to substitute that player on because of that. Does look like it is going to allow me to do that at least. So some fine-tuning is probably going to be required for them around how this works for injuries around that half-time marker / full-time whistle going on. I really want to see a yellow card. It's also not every high tackle. I'm just trying some other stuff as well. That is a big shot, right? Like, that's very high. That is head on head. That is about as high as you could possibly be. That should be, well, that should probably be a red card offense. I came from quite the distance. I'm just having a look at this, like, kick chase tackle and trying to implement massive shots because I can at least run at people at speed from the kicks. And that was, you know, that's just direct head contact, right? So I'd be expecting that to have been, well, a red card if anything, and it wasn't even a penalty. So I can't make this happen. They are in the game because I've seen people have put them on the FAQ page and done screenshots and said, oh, they've managed to get one. I can't think of a way to make it happen. Let me just go for a... This used to work. This is how I got my achievement. If I do a little box kick and then annihilate the guy... Well, they've changed a little bit how they work after the catch. Let me try and hit someone at speed off the line. It doesn't seem to be speed orientated anymore. If you remember during early access, you used to be able to hit people at top speed. It would sort of always force a high tackle penalty. That's one I utilised quite a lot. I have to say, I'm still not noticing the AI do a lot. For everything that I said in last week's video, and people were like, oh no, I'm still just seeing him box kick. You know, there's a couple of points there they didn't really do anything. They actually started running backwards at that point. So I don't know what's different for me compared to everyone else. This is now on the hardest. I know I'm losing 7-0 because I'm not actually trying to score. I'm specifically trying to injure people. Oh, don't call them Mark. You don't need to do that. Yeah, I can't get a card. Wait, whoa. Hold on. What happened there? Was that cutscene not Ben Thomas just waving on the substitution for Dan Edwards is already on. And then, didn't he just say, you come on for the... Why was Ben Thomas back? Okay, there's still some issues with the cutscenes. That is apparent. Some people have said they've, like, had, like, 4 or 5 games and not seen one themselves. I feel like I've certainly had things that constitute as high tackles over the course of the last, you know, game. And it doesn't seem to flag as a high tackle. I can't work out how to sort of force one to happen or to what the higher likelihood would be as to why one happens. At least we had one injury after I set the injuries to high or major injuries. Offside, no. We're not going to get there, unfortunately, guys. Let's move on then to the thoughts and feedback. It's all a bit too hard, and the defensive elements of this game just aren't friendly enough for me. Let's jump in there. Let me put the patch notes back up on screen for everybody, and let's give our thoughts on this one. Added the broadcast close camera. Yes, this is better. This is better than the normal broadcast camera. I can see people using it. I can see people actually enjoying the way it sort of transitions. I would say do the settings I did, because a few people have said if you don't do the the changeover, it just stays facing one way and can make it a bit tricky for you. I think you need those settings on the correct way. It feels smooth. It feels the way the work feels a little bit better. Allow injury cutscenes in match options. Yes, that is now in the game. I always thought it was in the game. I don't know why you'd want to turn it off. There is some issues that we've discovered around the actual injury cutscenes themselves at the end of a half. Causes chaos, stops play, which isn't something that really happens in rugby unless there's quite a severe injury. It doesn't really stop play. It ends halves. The cutscene played, but then then it made an auto sub for us. It auto subbed on a player we wouldn't want. We had a different player with a better option, and then in a later cutscene when the ball next went out, it then showed the cutscene of the injured player who's already on the bench waving on the next player for them to make that substitution. So there's a few things that are a little bit loose around that, but I'm glad to see that injury cutscenes are in the game. They've added the Virgin Media Stadium to the Play Now list. Yep, we played on that one today. It looks good. The stadiums have always looked good in this game. The atmosphere for this one still feels a bit flat. I've got my volume on full in my headphones and stuff, and there's not really a lot of cheering, whistling, not really a lot going on from them. Whereas other stadiums I've heard chants playing with the Argentina during the Rugby Championship, and there's like songs and stuff going on in the background, crowd getting into it. Oh, this is great. Virgin Media feels a bit empty at the minute. That one, that might need a little bit more looking at it. The corrected custom uniforms, let me know in the comment section, guys, if you know what triggers that. I've not experienced that myself, had no issues with that myself, so I can't comment on that. It's been fixed. Corrected broadcast camera error, don't know what that error is, so don't know, but whatever it was, hopefully glad that they've fixed that one as well. Improved the high tackle logic, resulting in harsher penalties. I had high tackles in that one. I had head on head, I had shoulder in head contacts. I didn't get a penalty against me. Yellow and red cards are now in the game. And I know they are because people have put screenshots on the FAQ page. I know they are in the game. I couldn't make one happen. I couldn't even make a high tackle penalty happen, let alone get a yellow or red card. So that consistency is probably still going to need work on. I would also like to know what will be the causality of it. I'm still annoyed that they got rid of the thumbstick tackle. And they replaced it with the Y tackle button. The Y tackle button is just something I don't use at all. And I don't know anyone who would use it. It doesn't even tackle the players half the time. I like the thumbstick because the thumbstick had a clear option to it. You point the thumbstick the wrong way, you made a bad tackle. It made sense. I can understand how it worked, and you can understand why it went wrong for you. You're just pushing the B button in Rugby 25. There's no way for me to force that, for me to know why I've done something wrong. It's kind of like a roll of the dice on every tackle. You may do a high tackle, you may not. I don't know. Nothing I can force. They are in the game, which is great, because we've been asking for that since early access. But yeah, unfortunately not something I've been able to see. And unlock the additional academy functionality. Yes, something that a lot of people have been asking for a very long time. The ability to add the face-scanned players into other teams from club level, from international, have been able to do that. Fantastic. We have, unfortunately, still got the locked teams. You can't remove locked players, and as we saw with the Springboks team, this team is now made up of made-up fake players, and I can't remove any of them in order to actually bring the actual players in. I'm guessing something's gone wrong on Big Ant's end in order for that to have affected the South Africa team specifically. So maybe that'll be something they do in a hotfix to correct that. I'm hoping they do, because I can't do the Rugby Championship videos without it. So I'm at their mercy on this one. And then improved stability. I've honestly not had any issues with stability for a long, long time. Even the Xbox version. Haven't had crashes. Maybe occasionally you have a frame rate drop and it's normally because of something else. It's normally trying to get a cutscene to go or something. I haven't had any weird issues with my color screens either. I think the stability on this game is very, very good at the minute. But yeah, so things are better. That's a better one than we had last week. I still feel like the AI is not doing a lot. We did hard difficulty. I was 24-0 up in one half against the AI on hard. They weren't doing anything to stop me. And then we swapped to hardest for that second game. And I am... Okay, I was down on the scoreboard. I started testing the kick and stuff. But when the AI did have the ball, they weren't doing a lot. Really, their box kicking the ball. It's the handoffs. It's the bump-offs. It's the offload. It's the box kicks. I never see them get the ball to that right winger and charge down the wing. I never see them go for a cross-field kick and attempt to get around me. I never see them do a little chip kick by the fly half and have someone else run onto the end of the ball. I never see any interesting plays. It is still just run forwards, bump off, next tackle, offload, bump off, offload, bump off. And it's just that. And there's a sort of inevitability to it. If you can do that consistently enough, the other team run out of defenders, you score a try. And we saw that in that second game, right? They got through, not because they necessarily earned it. They did something I can't stop. And eventually you have enough missed tackles that they get through and score a try. And it needs to be built on. When they look at like the esports stuff, obviously it's player versus player. It's not quite as consistent. I still feel like those handoffs and those bump offs need to be reduced in order to make it less likely or more about the players in the game themselves than a timing window to make it less likely for them to be successful. Because I can see if they want to do an esports thing, they want to do a multiplayer thing, it's going to be bigger. You know, it's gonna be hard because every player will just be doing that. It's not possible to stop it because it's got this inevitability about it. So really gonna have to try and work on a way to make that feel functionally a little bit better. But there you are, guys. More positive today, slightly better on this one today. Yeah, unfortunately I have lost the Springboks, so we don't know what we're gonna do for the Rugby Championship. We'll see what Big Ant come back with. Maybe they could get a hotfix out for that one sooner rather than later. If not, we're kind of doomed on that one. But that's going to be it for me today, guys. Sorry, it's a very, very long one today, but I hope you have all enjoyed. Drop it down in the comments section. Your thoughts on this one. Is it good? Is it bad? Have you played it yourselves? Does it feel better? All that good stuff. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.